Supernatural Season 14 premiere, Stranger in a Strange Land. Supernatural is officially back, and it was a really good first episode for the season. I really enjoyed what we got to see of, Dean slash Michael, so I thought that was really entertaining. Very good lead in as far as the weird mystery of exactly what he's trying to do, because he's very vague about, like, oh, I basically want to do what he did in the other world, which was like, okay, yeah, he wants to pretty much just kill all humans. That's what he wanted to do. But it seems different. I mean, as much power as he has, he could. Like, he could destroy pretty much anyone he wants. It's not like he's got to go up against Lucifer anymore. So, not a lot of people around. God obviously isn't there. So, he doesn't have a lot of competition, but he wants to have allies. So, I thought that was really interesting. And he talked about wanting to bring the angels back because, of course, their numbers are dwindling. And, they haven't talked about it just yet with the first episode. But, of course, they need heaven to, kind of make more angels and stuff like that. So there's a lot going on that he could do, but also he's clearly like the main villain. So it's like, well, where's this headed? And of course, by the end, after all the weird questions to random people, both good and bad, he basically teams up with a vampire at the end, who I assume is the vampire that's referenced, or, one of the vampires that's referenced in the beginning of the episode, where it's like, we've got vampires killing people along the highway. And it's like, well, I want to team up with you because you know what you want, which is just to feed. And so it's like, well, that has nothing to do with angels, but it does have to do with killing people. So I like the way they handled it. I do wish we got to see more of him. I actually love the way that the character is portrayed, where, he was still in the jacket and he had the hat and everything. And he was super calm. It starts with the guy praying, and he's just there and he's just calm. He's got his legs crossed and it's just like, hey, he's talking to him and he talks down to him, and the guy's like, I want peace and this and that. And he's like, well, if you wanted this, you wouldn't cheat on your wife. If you wanted peace, you wouldn't have left your family, your friends in Syria who you left them to die, which they did. And I thought it was really entertaining watching him because he's seemingly, at least, we'll see how it plays out. But even based off of the last season, he does seem like that cold, calculating villain, which is always one of my favorites. So I'm looking forward to how that character plays out and how long it lasts. I did watch like an interview a few months ago where it's like, it's gonna last longer than Demon Dean, which I think we all want it to last way longer than 3 episodes. So looking forward to that. As far as the angel element of it, I love the opening. I thought the opening is probably my favorite opening. Like, I love the color of the text. Like, that's just a nice blue, and just the wings and everything. I was like, that just looks fantastic. So probably my favorite visual for the openings that we've actually had the entire series. So I'm definitely excited for that. We got to see Joe show up for a little bit, and I thought that was pretty cool. But all in all, a fun episode. We get to see a little bit of what's going on. We find out it's only been 3 weeks for the characters in the show. So Jack has been building up as far as, waiting for his grace to kind of return to normal. He's just kind of human, at this point, is, power wise, at least he's pretty much human. So he gets his butt kicked, in this episode. We do get to hear Bobby say balls, even though it was super low because he was already messed up. So I was like, well, that's super awesome. But definitely fun. And admittedly, I love that scene. Like, I like the scene just in general. I thought it was a fun sequence. I kind of wanted Kip to stick around, if I'm being totally honest. I liked how he was this proper character. He reminded me of Kedge, but not as douchey. Oddly enough, not as douchey. And I like this character where he was like, if I had it my way, I would just eat your heart right now. But, I'm kind of like a man of the people. And I was like, I kind of like this character. But, he went against Sam, and Sam destroyed him naturally. So, definitely like that character. Sucked to see him go so fast. I was like, actually thought he was entertaining to watch. And it was kind of cool. Like, he was at least, somewhat smart enough where he was like, he went to this bar to meet Cass, and Cass had a seemingly cool moment where he was pretty hardcore. He was like, if you don't tell me, I'll, scorched earth. And I was like, well, I think we can do better. And then Cass just got destroyed. And I was like, oh, well, he didn't have a cool moment this episode. He just got decimated. But definitely also a moment for Sam after he kills him. And he's just like, that's enough. And everyone just stops fighting. And it was like, if you want to be the new king of hell, you can talk to me. And then the demons just leave. They just leave their host bodies, and they just literally just take off. Like, that's too much. That's too much. Sam Winchester's too much. And they literally just leave. And I was like, well, that's a super cool moment for his character. But all in all, definitely love the episode. I'm very excited for where we're headed with whatever they're going to be doing with Michael and him teaming up with the vampires, and who else he's going to team up with. Like, is he going to kind of join a lot of different, random creatures together? Because there are a lot of different elements, to it as far as what he does and does not accept. But since he's decided to team up with the vampire, it's like, well, I guess he really only cares about killing off humans. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to this season. Like I said, I thought this was a good first episode. I wish we got the preview. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I definitely heard them say like, "Stay tuned for the preview." And then the Supergirl thing showed up, and I was like, I don't care. Although Sam Witwer was in it, which made me laugh. So, and that's a Smallville thing for people who may have seen Smallville, and I was like, that's funny. But yeah, I was like, I wanted to see the promo for next week's episode. Like, we just started the season. I'm like, I definitely want to know what's coming up next. So I'll check it out. It's probably on YouTube. I just didn't have the chance to check today. But really enjoyed the first episode of the season. Glad to see the show come back. Um, Looking forward to what we're getting. Some stuff that I did notice that kind of upset me just a little bit was there are a couple people where it still showed guest starring, specifically Mary Winchester herself. So it's like, I was hoping it would just be like she would be a regular this season. So that still means she's going to be like popping in and out. Hopefully, every time I see guest starring for a character, I'm like, oh, that's an important person. Every time I see guest starring, it freaks me out. And I'm like, I don't, I hope they don't get killed off. Speaking of killed off, actually, I almost forgot like a huge plot point. Another thing that the CW did that pissed me off was they showed the scene because they wanted to promo this stupid Halloween movie where they talk about Michael, but they showed Sam talking to the initial host body for Lucifer, whose name I can't remember that guy's name. It's the same as Cass. It's like, that's just Cass. Like, that the other dude is gone. But yeah, I was like, oh, he survived and Lucifer was killed, and so he has bits and pieces. And I love the fact that they showed all the old clips, like when Lucifer first came to him and stuff like that. I was like, well, that's super cool. But he's kind of just there, and of course everyone's freaked out. It's like, this is the guy who is the host of Lucifer for a super long time, and it's just an interesting thing. It was crazy to have that moment where it's like, oh, he's alive. So where does this character go? And is Mark Pellegrino going to stay in the show? And that was another thing, because when he showed up, they didn't show his name. But that could have just been a thing to be like, surprise, like he's this actual person's alive. And I try not to look anything up for the show, so that may have been out there. But for me, it was a shock. Of course, it was spoiled by them wanting to promo Halloween, so they used the name Angel Michael for Michael Myers. And I was like, thanks, because who wanted to have that reveal, right? But yeah, that was definitely still a cool moment. Still a cool moment. But all in all, I'm looking forward to where we're headed. With the way they're doing things, where it was a small time skip with only a couple weeks, I like that element, because of course, if they did skip a few months, then Jack would basically be at full power. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Like, he's obviously a character that literally grew overnight, and I want to see how his character develops now that he kind of has to be protected. Like, he's not strong enough to really protect himself, or even jump in after the fact and protect anyone else. Like, he just gets beat up too. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to play out for his character. I'm actually very interested in that. Sam is like the leader, where everyone's like following his command. He's not getting sleep, and he's worried about Dean. Kind of normal, but in this case, he's got people following behind him, so he has to be, he always has to be at 100%. It's not like normal, where it's like, oh, it's him and Cass, and he can freak out with just Cass there. It's like, it's everyone. Like, people from another dimension are like following him and his orders 100% of the time. So it's like, all right, I want to see how this plays out. I'm definitely looking forward to this season. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about the premiere. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And naturally, I want to know what you guys are looking forward to for this season. Angels, demons, vampires. I doubt they'll be like a huge deal. I feel like they'll come in and they'll be like the first group of allies, and then they'll get wiped out. I feel like, because it never came up in the last season, and I can't remember the name of the demons anymore, but the things that Lucifer was afraid of, that Asmodeus was trying to raise in like the premiere of last season, or like 2 episodes in, I feel like those are going to come up. I feel like that is going to be maybe like mid-season finale type thing going into Endgame for the season. I think those will be that would be like Michael's army. Like, even if it's a couple, if they were that strong that they scared Lucifer, he might only need a couple. So I feel like it's a super easy thing that they referenced last season, and they never brought it back like I thought they were going to last season. So it's like, well, there you go. You have an evil angel from an alternate dimension. He's got nothing. They probably have, at least somewhat the same lore and everything. So he probably knows about them, or he'll find out about them somehow. And then, with him being as powerful as he is, considering he was able to defeat his version Lucifer, maybe he'll be able to do it himself. So I feel like that's something that they could easily tap into, but there's a million things where it's always like, that's super easy. They could just do it just like that, and then it never shows up, and they save it for like, 4 seasons down the line. So that might come up, might not, but that's At this point, that's my tentative prediction, because it's just an easy thing where it's like he goes through different evil allies and then they all get wiped out because they're not strong enough. And it's like, boom, he gets these insanely powerful things from hell, this super secret part of hell. And then that's what they have to deal with going into like either the second half or maybe like the last, 4 or 5 episodes. He finally gets them. So that's kind of my little prediction. Other than that, it's kind of just wide open and we'll see how it plays out. But like I said, want to know what you guys thought about the premiere, favorite parts, least favorite parts, and definitely your predictions and hopes, of course, for this season. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.